Okay, I'll get straight to the point then. 2 months ago, my stepmother called for a family meeting, and during that meeting, she asked me for one of my kidneys. I know this might sound shocking, but to give you some background, it's just my dad, stepmother, and me in our family. My stepmother does have a daughter, but they aren't close at all. Actually, they are completely estranged, so they don't have much of a relationship. Now, to explain a little more about the situation, after my mother passed away 3 years ago, my dad was understandably heartbroken. A while after her death, he met my stepmother. At the time, she was still married to someone else, and she already had a daughter from that marriage. Despite that, my dad and my stepmother ended up having an affair. She was still married at the time. When the stepmother's ex discovered about her affair, he threw her out unceremoniously, after which she came to live with her dad at our place. Shortly after that, my dad and stepmother started dating openly. After the divorce, things got even more complicated for my stepmother. Her daughter, who was old enough to understand everything that had happened, didn't want anything to do with her anymore. She found out about the affair and, understandably, felt betrayed by her mother. So she decided to cut off all communication with her. My stepmother even tried to get custody of her daughter, hoping they could fix their relationship, but her daughter didn't want to live with her at all. Over time, the distance between them grew, and her daughter eventually moved to another country, pretty much severing any remaining ties with her. She's also not in contact with her ex-husband, and the rest of her family doesn't speak to her much either. They all blame her for breaking up their family, so they've distanced themselves from her. At this point, my stepmother doesn't have much left in terms of family. She's made it clear that she only sees me and my dad as her only family now, considering us her real support system. So when she called for a family meeting and insisted that I attend urgently, I didn't think much of it. I just thought it was a regular family thing. However, it took me completely by surprise when she told me that her doctor had just informed her that she had some serious kidney issues and that eventually it would lead to permanent kidney failure. The words hit me hard, and as she said them, I could see her holding back tears. It was clear how scared she was. She told me that she wasn't ready to die. The way she said it broke my heart, and I could see the fear in her eyes. She went on to explain that she and my dad had been talking about what they could do about it. I looked over at my dad, expecting him to say something, but he stayed quiet the whole time. His face was sad, and I could tell he was struggling with this news just as much as she was. I was at a total loss for words, trying to process everything. Even though my stepmother had come into my life later, I had grown to care about her deeply. She had always been there for me, offering guidance and love in a way that felt like a real parent figure. She had also made my dad really happy, and I could see how much they cared for each other. The thought of her dying was unbearable. I didn't want to lose her, not after all the years we had spent together as a family. I could barely hold it together as I asked her what I could do to help. My voice cracked with emotion, and I felt a lump in my throat. I was desperate to do something, anything, to make this easier for her. I suggested that maybe I could help her set up appointments with other specialists so we could get more opinions and see if there was anything else that could be done. But she looked at me with such a heavy expression and gently told me that she and my dad had already done that. They had visited several specialists, and each one had reached the same conclusion. Her kidney issues were too far advanced. It was clear that the only option left was a kidney transplant. At that moment, it felt like everything around me went silent. She hesitated for a moment, and then, with a deep breath, she told me that she needed another kidney. My heart dropped. I knew where this was heading, but I couldn't prepare myself for what she said next. She looked at me almost nervously and said she understood how big of an ask this was, but since we shared the same blood type, she wanted to know if I would be open to donating a kidney to her. I sat there in complete shock. Donate a kidney? That wasn't something I ever imagined hearing from her. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I had no idea how to react. My mind was racing and I couldn't quite process what she was asking of me. This was a huge, life-altering decision. I looked at her, my face probably showing all the confusion and disbelief I was feeling. My dad, sensing how overwhelmed I was, quickly spoke up. He reassured me that I didn't have to do it if I wasn't comfortable with the idea, and made it clear there was no pressure at all. I appreciated him saying that, but it didn't really take away the weight of what I was hearing. My stepmother, too, tried to ease the tension. She told me that she would never force me to donate and that it was ultimately my decision. But then she added something that made everything feel even heavier. She said that if I did agree, I could potentially save her life. That was when her emotions started to pour out. She began an emotional rant, her voice shaky as she told me how scared she was of dying. She kept repeating how much she didn't want to die, and I could hear the desperation in her voice. She said she wished she could have lived more, that she regretted the way she had lived her life up until that point. The pain in her words was palpable. She told me she just wanted a second chance to make things right, to be better, to do better. In that moment, I couldn't bring myself to say anything. I was still trying to take it all in, the shock, the weight of the decision, the emotional pressure. It was overwhelming, and I wasn't sure I was ready to even think about what saying yes or no would mean. It was just too much at once, so I asked her to give me some time. My stepmother seemed to understand, at least at the time. She told me I didn't have to rush, that I had plenty of time to think things through. She said it was completely up to me and that she wouldn't push me. I wanted to believe her. But since that day, for the past 2 months, she's been bringing it up again and again. Every week she asks me if I've made my decision yet. It's become a regular reminder, like a pressure hanging over my head. At first, I tried to be understanding. I get that she's scared and desperate, but now it feels like she's not really giving me space to make a choice on my own. It's like she's slowly turning up the pressure, trying to make me feel like saying no would mean letting her die. What started as a request has started to feel more like emotional blackmail. She keeps repeating that I could save her life, like that's supposed to make the decision easy, but it doesn't. It just makes me feel guilty. Every time she brings it up, I feel more cornered, more unsure, and more emotionally drained. However, something I have noted is that my dad's been quiet through all of this. Whenever I talk to him about it, trying to figure out what I should do, he tells me that he supports me no matter what I decide, that I shouldn't feel pressured. Right now, I feel like I'm being pulled in two directions, one by guilt and the other by what I truly want or don't want to do. So Reddit, AITA if I don't donate my kidney to my stepmother? Update 1. Thank you so much for all the kind comments and messages. I've had so many people reach out and share their own stories about donating a kidney. Some positive, some more cautionary, and I've taken the time to read through as many as I could. Hearing from both sides has been really eye-opening, and I appreciate every single person who took the time to offer support or advice. I also noticed there were a few common questions that kept coming up in the comments and DMs, so I thought I'd copy some of those questions and answer them here. 1. Have you gotten tested to see if you're actually a match with your stepmother? Not yet. We do share the same blood type, which is why she even asked me in the first place, but I haven't gone through the full testing process. Since I haven't made a decision yet, I didn't want to start that step until I am sure. 2. Are you being pressured or guilt tripped into saying yes? This one's tough. In the beginning, she said there was no pressure and that the decision was completely mine. But over time, she's been bringing it up more and more, and it started to feel like emotional pressure. So, yes, to be honest, I do feel like I'm being guilt tripped at times, even if that's not her intention. 3. Why are you even considering it? Because despite everything, I do care about her. For me, the reason I've been going back and forth about this decision is because in my heart, I do consider my stepmother as family. No, she didn't raise me from childhood, but she has been there for a good part of my life. She's been a steady presence, helped me through a lot, and has always treated me with kindness and care. That counts for something. What's made this situation even harder is knowing that she doesn't really have anyone else to turn to. Her daughter, the one person who could have helped, wants nothing to do with her. I even asked my stepmother if she had tried reaching out to her daughter or any other relatives, and she told me that she had, but no one was willing to step up. That part really broke me. No matter how complicated her past is, it's still sad to think of someone being in such a serious, life-threatening situation and having no support from people they once called family. Knowing that makes it even harder to say no. I feel a mix of sadness and guilt just thinking about what she must be feeling, rejected by her own family and now relying on me, the one person she has left. It's not an easy situation. I wish there were a clear answer, but all I can do is keep thinking it through and hope I'll know what's right for me when the time comes. 4. What does your dad say about all of this? He's staying neutral. He keeps saying that he supports whatever choice I make and that there's no pressure. But his silence doesn't make it easier. Sometimes it feels like he's counting on me to say yes without actually saying it out loud. 5. Are you afraid of the surgery or possible complications? Of course. I think anyone would be. It's not a small thing, it's surgery. And there are risks, and even though people live normal lives with one kidney, it's still a permanent decision. So yes, the fear is real, and it's part of why I haven't rushed into anything. Also, a few of you have asked about what might have led to my stepmother's kidney failure. Honestly, it's hard to say for sure, as I'm not a doctor, and I didn't probe my stepmother for more details, but I do have a few guesses based on what I know about her lifestyle. My stepmother has struggled with smoking and drinking for years since her divorce. She doesn't do it every single day, but she does have habits of binge drinking on weekends and smoking on and off, especially when she's stressed. Over time, I'm guessing that has taken a toll on her health, particularly on her kidneys, which are sensitive to things like alcohol and smoking. Both of these can cause damage to the kidneys, and even though she's tried to quit a few times, I think the damage just built up over the years. I will ask her and Dad to meet up with other doctors as well to see if they have any differing opinions. As for now, I still don't have a solid answer or decision yet. I'm trying to be fair to her, to myself, and to the life I have ahead of me. I'm just taking it one day at a time and trying not to let guilt be the only thing guiding me. Thank you again to everyone who's reached out. You've helped me think through this more than you probably know. Update 2. It's been about 2 weeks since my last update, and during that time, I've been doing a lot of thinking, probably more than I've ever done about anything. I've gone back and forth countless times, weighed every possibility, talked to people, read all your comments, and sat with my own feelings. And now I've finally come to a decision. I've decided to donate my kidney to my stepmother. This wasn't an easy choice. It wasn't something I rushed into or took lightly, but after everything, I kept coming back to one thing. She is family. She's been there for me in ways that mattered, and even though her past isn't perfect, I've seen the effort she's put into being present in my life. She's scared and she's alone in this in so many ways, And if I can give her a real chance to live, to heal, to start fresh, then I want to do that. I also know that donating my kidney is a huge medical decision. It's not something I'm entering into blindly. I'm ready to go through all the necessary medical tests. First and foremost, I want to be sure it's safe for both of us. I don't want to rush into it, so after I reveal my decision to them, we will then be scheduling the tests soon. I'm planning to meet with my dad and stepmother this weekend to tell them. I haven't said anything yet because I wanted to be 100% sure of my decision first. I know they'll probably be emotional, and I'm preparing myself for that too. I'm still nervous, of course. This is a big deal, but deep down, I feel at peace with the choice. It feels like the right thing for me, not because of pressure, not because of guilt, but because I want to do it. Thank you to everyone who's followed along, supported me, challenged me, and shared your own stories. You've helped more than you know. I'll update again after I talk to them. Update 3. Okay, this is crazy. Actually, insane might be a better word. After weeks of agonizing over it, going back and forth and trying to do the right thing, I finally made my decision, and this weekend I told my dad and stepmother that I was willing to donate my kidney. I sat them down, nervous but at peace, and told them everything I had been feeling and why I made the choice. At first, they both looked pleasantly surprised. I actually thought they might cry. I assured them that my decision was final and I had thought about everything. But then my stepmother turned to look at my dad, and both of them burst out laughing. I just sat there frozen, confused. Both of them were outright belly laughing. I couldn't understand why. Then my stepmother said that I had successfully passed her test and that she was proud of me. I blinked, not able to process what she meant. She then continued to explain that all of this was just a test. Apparently, this whole thing, her illness, the kidney failure, the weekly check-ins trying to get me to give her an answer, none of it was real. She's not sick. There's no kidney issue. It was all part of some twisted test to see if I truly accepted her as a mother and to measure my loyalty to her. She said she wanted to see whether I was worthy of being considered as her true family, whether I should be the rightful heir to her assets instead of her estranged daughter. That's right. This whole thing was about her will. She wanted to test me before deciding whether to leave everything to me or her daughter. And somehow she convinced my dad to go along with this plan. I still can't fully wrap my head around it. I don't know how long they were planning it. I don't know how they thought this was okay. I don't know how they could watch me spiral emotionally for 2 months and think it was just part of the experiment. I almost felt physically sick in that moment. My stomach dropped. My head was spinning. I just sat there staring at them, trying to figure out if they were serious or if maybe I had gone mad. But no, they were smiling, almost proud of themselves, like they just pulled off some genius prank. I turned to my dad, hoping, begging for him to say it wasn't true. But he just nodded like it was no big deal. And he actually said, I'm sorry for putting you through this, but your stepmother really wanted to know if you genuinely considered her family. That was the last straw. I snapped. I started screaming. I was so full of rage, confusion, and betrayal. 2 months. 2 months of emotional torture. 2 months of carrying this impossible decision, of feeling crushed under the guilt, the pressure, the fear. 2 months thinking I might be saving someone's life. And it was all a game to them. A test? What kind of people do this to someone they claim to love? I said, are you serious right now? This was a test? You let me believe you were dying just to see if I was loyal enough to be considered family? Do you even hear yourselves? I turned to my dad and said, how could you go along with this? You're my dad. You watched me break down. You knew how hard this was for me, and you just let it happen like it was no big deal. Then I looked right at my stepmother and said, You manipulated me. You lied to me. You guilt-tripped me for weeks. And all of it was fake. You don't test someone's love by pretending to be dying. You don't earn loyalty by emotionally torturing someone for months. My voice was shaking, and I could feel tears building, but I was just too angry to cry. I told them both exactly how I felt, how twisted and cruel this was, how I would never be able to trust either of them the same way again. My stepmother kept trying to talk over me, saying things like, "It wasn't meant to hurt you," and "Now we know how much you care." But I couldn't even hear her anymore. It was like something inside me just shut off. I had come that day prepared to give a piece of my body, and I left questioning if I even had a place in that house anymore. I told them clearly and firmly that I didn't want anything from my stepmother, not her money, not her so-called inheritance, not even her love. In fact, I didn't want anything from either of them anymore. I told them I didn't want to see their faces again. I meant it. At that moment, I just wanted to be as far away from them as possible. My dad immediately tried to stop me. He started talking fast, saying they didn't really mean to hurt me, that it was all supposed to be some weird way to show how close we were as a family. Like that was supposed to make it better. My stepmother jumped in, trying to explain her side. She said that if I were in her position, I would understand why she did it. She kept saying that she sees me as more of a daughter than her own biological child, as if that was supposed to fix everything, as if being considered family justified what they put me through. I just stood there, shaking my head. I couldn't even find the words anymore. I was disgusted. My heart felt like it had been stomped on. I didn't yell back this time. I just turned around and walked out. Now they're both mad at me. They've been blowing up my phone with calls and texts, acting like I'm the one being unreasonable. They keep saying that yes, maybe they were wrong, but I'm overreacting. They keep telling me that next time they won't do anything like this again, as if that makes any of this okay, as if there should even be a next time. But the thing is, I don't know how I'm supposed to come back from this. I don't know how to rebuild trust with people who thought it was okay to fake a life-threatening illness just to test my loyalty. That's not how love works. That's not how family works. I don't know what happens next. I'm still trying to make sense of it all. But for now, I just need space from both of them, because right now, the pain runs too deep and I don't think they even fully understand how badly they've hurt me. Update 4. It's been a month since my last update. A lot has happened. So, after everything that went down, the fake kidney story, the manipulation, the betrayal, I decided to block both my dad and my stepmother. I needed to protect myself. I needed peace. I needed space. But yesterday, my stepmother showed up at my place completely unannounced. I don't know what she thought would happen. Maybe she believed that showing up in person would somehow soften my heart. Seeing her in real life would change my mind. I was shocked, honestly. I had no idea she even knew where I lived now. I didn't invite her in, but we talked at the door. She started crying almost right away. She and my dad have been miserable ever since I stopped speaking to them. Said that he misses me more than he can say. Apparently they've been fighting a lot more than usual, and she hinted that a lot of it has been because of what happened with me. She told me she regrets what they did, that they didn't realize how deep the damage would go. Then she begged me to talk to them again. She said that Dad misses me a lot, that things have felt empty without me in their lives. I still refused, as I am still pissed off at them, her especially. I just couldn't understand why she would even put me through something like that. She then explained, "Please just hear me out. I know you don't want to see me, and I know you're angry. You have every right to be, but I needed to come here. I needed to try. I didn't come here to argue or defend what I did. I know it was wrong. I know it was cruel, and if I could go back and undo it, I would in a heartbeat. But I want you to understand why I did it. She went on to explain that losing her relationship with her daughter had shattered her. Her daughter had been her entire world, and then, without warning, she was gone, cutting all ties and wanting nothing to do with her, all because, according to her, she fell in love with my dad while still married to her ex. Though she didn't blame her daughter, the loss was still unbearable. Then she met me, and slowly something unexpected began to happen. I started treating her like my family. I became sort of her replacement daughter, who was kind to her and welcomed her in a way she never expected. It meant more to her than she could ever express, but deep down, she was always scared that I would one day treat her like her own biological daughter does. Scared that I don't really value her. She continued to admit that she let her insecurity twist her thinking, even though she knew this wasn't fair, because she has to do her will. She told herself that she needed to know for sure exactly where she stood in my life, if she really mattered to me the way I mattered to her. She paused, swallowing hard. So I came up with this stupid, awful plan, and your father, well, I dragged him into it too. I think he knew it was a bad idea, but I pushed and pushed until he gave in. I know I broke your trust. I broke something so fragile, and now I don't know if I can fix it, but please believe me, I didn't do it to hurt you. I did it because I was desperate to feel like I had a real family again. Like someone chose me, not out of blood or obligation, but because they actually cared. I stared at her, still speechless, while she wiped at her eyes. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, and said, I miss you. Your dad misses you. We've been a mess without you. I know it might be too late, but I came here today because I needed you to know the truth. Please don't shut us out forever. I told her as calmly as I could that I needed more time, that I couldn't give her a definite answer right then and there. I wasn't trying to be cold. I just didn't want to say something in the moment that I didn't truly mean later. She looked disappointed, but she nodded. She said she understood and then quietly left. As I'm writing this now, I won't lie. Part of me felt this huge wave of sadness immediately after she left. As much as I've been angry and hurt, I do miss my stepmother. I miss my dad too. It's not like I can flip a switch and stop caring about them. No matter what they did, they are my only family. A big part of my life. Losing that kind of connection doesn't just stop hurting overnight. But at the same time, I can't ignore what they put me through. I've talked to friends about all of this, and every single one of them has said the same thing. What they did was beyond messed up. It wasn't just a misunderstanding or a harmless joke. It was emotional manipulation, plain and simple. They knew exactly how to pull on my feelings, and they did it anyway just to see how loyal I was. That's not love. That's not how families should ever treat you. So yeah, I miss them. But I'm also still confused, still trying to figure out how to move forward from something that cuts so deep. For now, I'm keeping my distance because right now, that's what feels safe. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.